Now, across the world, people are celebrating Earth Day. Here at home, Canadians are taking part in various events to mark the occasion. It's been almost a decade since Canada and nearly 200 other countries adopted the Paris Agreement, the first global pact aimed at tackling climate change. Canada's goal is to reduce emissions by 2030 and reach net zero emissions by 2050. But are we actually on the right path to meeting those targets? Let's bring in Rick Smith to help us unpack that. He's the president of the Canadian Climate Institute. And so, Rick, nice to see you. How much progress?
Good to see you, Andrew.
How much progress?
Happy Earth Day to you.
Happy Earth Day to you. But is it a happy Earth Day? What kind of progress has Canada made in reaching its 2030 climate targets?
Long story short, we've made some progress, but we should be doing much, much better. As you mentioned, what the atmosphere needs, what the planet needs, what we need as humans is to reach net zero emissions by 2050. And of course, it's not like we can wake up in 2049 and then try to get there all at once. So we need to kind of get on a path between now and then. And so our country has targets, signposts along the way in 2030 and 2035. And it looks like we're going to miss those quite substantially. So that means we need to pick up the pace. We need to do our fair share in terms of reducing greenhouse gases. But I want to underline here that there are actually some good news stories that we can build on. So just as one example, our country has dramatically reduced greenhouse gas emissions from electricity production over the last decade, but by about 65%. We've reduced carbon dioxide pollution. In other industrial sectors like oil and gas production, not so much. So there's a lot of variability in terms of how we're doing, depending on where you look across the country.
Now, the previous government built a strong framework of climate policies and legislation. How committed do you think Mark Carney's government is to reach those goals?
Well, I think we've got a prime minister that understands this issue intimately, and understands, not just that for the sake of humanity and the planet, that we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions because it's raising global temperatures. I mean, your previous segments were showing flooding across the country. Of course, flooding, wildfires across our country are getting worse because of climate change. So we're seeing the real impact, the measurable impact of climate change now every year. I think Mark Carney understands this. And he also understands that when we talk about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, there are actually a lot of economic opportunities here that, if you look at most of our major trading partners across the world, Europe, China, India, all of these countries are picking up the pace in terms of production of clean electricity, production of batteries, production of new low-emitting machines like electric vehicles and heat pumps that are also, by the way, a much better deal for consumers. And so it's clear that decarbonization is the name of the game when it comes to the industry of the next couple of decades. And our economy, Canadian economic success, depends on our getting our elbows up and participating in that decarbonized world. So, I think the Prime Minister gets all this, and we're hoping to see a kind of an accelerated series of climate change policies by the federal government over the next few months to both reduce emissions and to really help Canadian economic competitiveness.
So you sound hopeful, but there's the removal of the carbon tax, for instance. There's the commitment to build another pipeline to the West Coasts, ramping up oil and gas production in Canada because of global conflicts and because of the need for reliable, safe fuel. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, listen, Andrew, it's Earth Day, so I always feel optimistic on Earth Day because every Earth Day I sort of think back at how, yes, I think about the challenges ahead, but I've been doing this long enough to be able to reflect back at the successes that we've had. And so if I look around and we're thinking about fighting climate change, there's lots of successes to point to. In a strange But real way, the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is dramatically accelerating the move towards clean electricity around the world, because about 75% of humans live in countries without their own oil and gas resources. They have to import every gallon of oil or natural gas that they use, and it turns out that they don't like it when global supply is constrained, gasoline prices go through the roof, and they have to start cutting back on economic activities. So just in the last few months, we've seen a huge spike in solar installation, wind power installation, electric vehicle sales across the world. Not for altruistic reasons, but because these sources of clean electricity are more stable, their price is more stable, and the countries that build them can control that supply.
Rick, thank you. Rick Smith, he is the president of the Canadian Climate Institute.